This mutation is called Undermined, and it is being played on Rifts to Korhal. We have two mutators active. We have Minesweeper, and we have Void Rifts. Before I talk about the mutators set, we can see that Nova is trying to explore the enemy composition or the enemy race. You can actually figure out what the enemy race is by having a look at this box over here. See this little Protoss crate? This crate will actually only appear if you are up against a Protoss composition. Obviously, a lot of people know already how to check Zerg. If it is against Terran, you will see nothing over here. These Protoss crates will not appear, so that is how you can tell what the enemy composition is. So we have two mutators active. We have the Minesweeper and we have the Void Rifts, both really nasty mutators. But there is a very interesting interaction that occurs between the Minesweeper and the Void Rifts. Because the Minesweeper creates mines all around the map, and because Void Rifts will only spawn as long as there are no enemy units within a certain range. I can't remember what I think it might be 10 range of the Void Rift. What Minesweeper ends up doing is it ends up constricting the potential locations for the Void Rift spawns. So what you will find is, what is supposed to happen with Void Rifts is, throughout the course of the game, the Void Rifts will start very, very close to the enemy, to the player bases, but as the mission progresses, the Void Rifts will start spawning into the deeper enemy bases. This is how the Void Rifts are supposed to occur, and here we can see we already have two Void Rifts spawning. But because Minesweeper is active and mines start spawning all around the map, what will usually happen is the Void Rifts end up getting constricted in this area over here and maybe in this potential area, so you don't really have to push very far even for the layer Void Rifts. So that does make it a little bit easier. That being said, Void Rifts are still a really nasty set of mutators to deal with, and over here we already have a Blaster Billy and two Flaming Betties that will be dealing with the sets of units that will be spawning from these Void Rifts. And remember, as mission progresses, the Void Rifts will start spawning more dangerous units, and you can see over here there's actually a good amount of damage that's been dealt onto that Blaster Billy over here. And we are dealing with apparently a heavy ground comp. So this is Masters and Machines. This is the Gateway composition, which is one of the better compositions that you would want to deal with. Usually you will find that mutators or weekly mutations sometimes will have this composition as a mandatory requirement if you want to have a good time playing it, especially on very difficult weekly mutations. This one is not an exception. Over here now, we have two more Void Rifts that are spawning, and they will start sending a trickle spawn to the players' bases. So this side seems to be well defended so far, and now we have a combat drop that is over here, and they will start to clean up the set of Void Rifts. Nova is already on this side, and I think she might end up using a Sabotage Rune to end up clearing out this Void Rift, or no, just auto attack. Okay, there we go. We just an auto attack. Okay, there we go. There is a Sabotage Rune over here. And a couple of units here. These things will get cleared up by the static defenses on this side. And this Void Rift will end up getting destroyed by that Sabotage Rune. Nova is already ready here. And now there is, again, there is a minefield on this side. So as you can see, I keep referring to them as minefields because that is how the game generates them. It drops, I think, 4 Widow Mines, I think 5 maybe Spire Mines, in small patches within a certain radius. Now the one thing that is very useful to know is Nova's Sabotage Drone is pretty much perfect for clearing out an entire minefield. If you drop a Sabotage Drone in the right location, you can actually clear out an entire minefield in one drone. So that does make Nova even more favored on this Minesweeper mutation. And the reason why this mutation is difficult is because you're required to go and push out and deal with these Void Rifts that are spawning these units. But at the same time, you have the minefields that are blocking you from doing stuff. So that is why this mutation in general is difficult, and we already have two Void Rifts over here that need to be addressed, otherwise they will start spawning higher tier units. Production wise, we can see that Nova is just rushing up to her starport, and Swann is just going for full eye def, and you can see over here, unfortunately, the set of static defenses was not cleared. Very interestingly though, the Zealots decided to go around here and push rather than pushing up this ramp, which I'm not really sure why is the case, but that is Amon for you. Amon is sentient and he has his own strategic decision-making plans that he has. And you see the Swann is already starting to go up for the next thing. We have Nova's expansion already ready, but I don't know if this expansion is ever going to get captured, because Nova's going to be really busy with dealing with these Void Rifts and actually going for this for the main objective over here. Looks like Swann is going for a full static defense build, which is fine again when you're dealing with Void Rifts. but you guys will recognize Ancalagon over here, so we are expecting a very interesting way of playing this mutation, which is why I like casting their games. So you can already see the trickle spawn that's coming up, and there are banelings over here that are dealing a little bit of damage, and unfortunately for Swann, it still doesn't have the engineering bay out. Engineering bay is now on the way to get the static defense upgrades, which are going to make it have a concentrated beam here to snipe that Void Rift. It does end up also killing off some of the defenders on this side. So interesting use of the concentrated beam, but I think it is valid given the fact that Void Rifts are really nasty. So Nova and the Drill are focusing down this Void Shard. Again, there's 4 minutes left on the timer, plenty of time here, and now we have a bunch of siege tanks as well for Swann, and Swann will be able to hold out this ramp, I think, without any problems, at least until the air units start spawning. Once the air units start spawning, that's when things get relatively unpleasant, but it's still a while. So you can see there's a sabotage drone over here that will end up taking out this Void Rift. There's a bit of focus down on the drill as well, which is a little bit wasteful. Nova's now getting into position here. There's a combat drop that comes up to hold this side because this is actually an attack wave, so that needs to be dealt with as well. If anything else happens, and there's a little pullback over here to allow the blaster billies, the rest of these units to provide a little bit more DPS for the combat drop. Combat drop will end up clearing out this side again without too many struggles over here. And now Nova appears to be Nova's still one basing on this side. Very difficult for Nova to get stuff done. She has now a couple of Banshees out, and I think she will probably be getting some Liberators as well. Now they start cleaning up this Void Rift. They start pushing here. There's still one more Void Rift on this side as well that needs to be addressed. But overall, all seems okay so far. And now we have the next set of Void Rifts over here. Nova is conveniently in position of this Void Rift. This Void Rift as well spawns next to this Blast Abilities, and now Nova is going to start clearing out this expansion over here. Over here, I don't think Swann wants to take his expansion. It doesn't look like he's interested in dealing with this Void Rift over here. And now Nova is going to start pushing over here. There is a nuke that gets targeted on this side. There is a focus fire down from a bunch of Stalkers. Unfortunately, that focus fire down is a little bit too late, and Nova does manage to get her nuke out in time. There is a Void Rift here that is spawning a bunch of units, and now we have some air defenses as well that is here, which is going to be helping some of these units over here. And you can see that now the nucleus are starting to spawn, which is what makes this a little bit more difficult to deal with. There is a Ravager as well over here, and unfortunately Zell does end up taking out that Flaming Betty. What you can do is actually salvage these units here. This is where things get really scary because there's an Immortal and a Siege Tank that are sieging from the low ground, and that is causing a few problems over here. There is a focus down on the Drill. Drill ends up taking out that Siege Tank, and then Marauder ends up getting cleaned out as well. Unfortunately, the fire suppression system upgrade has not been researched yet for Swann, and that is going to mean his static defenses cannot end up clearing out these things. And SAV tries to make some more static defenses here, but those roaches have a focus fire down on this side. And I think did Nova end up getting wiped? No, Nova does not end up getting wiped. Nova is still on this side. Nova hasn't actually lost anything here. I think the oof was mostly for this difficulty over here. And now on this side again, there are a bunch of static. There's a bunch of units over here. Siege Tank on the low ground, a bunch of Mutalisk on the high ground, and a bunch of other Hellions and Mortals on this side as well. They need to have a bunch of Siege Tanks, but Swann's economy is severely stifled. And now there is a Void Ray that is focusing down on this Liberator and ends up picking off that one Liberator in the process. So far, Nova has only lost one Liberator, which is somewhat impressive considering there are a bunch of Widow Mines that are scattered around this entire map like this. You can see that was pretty much a good view of the minefield. Rewind the video if you want to see what a minefield looks like. That was pretty much it before Nova started picking it off. And for the most part, I think all is okay. Now we have a bunch of Siege Tanks on this side, and I think seems to be okay. They do have this thing under control. There is also a Void Rift on here. There's a combat drop. Two of these Siege Tanks have gotten picked off, but I think Swann is going to go and rebuild those Siege Tanks. And now we have a bunch of Banshees and a Liberator here. Nova is on this side, and now the Tuna Fish Hybrid starts to attack the Liberators, but there is a defensive drone now on Nova, and she will end up cleaning up this side. And now the onslaught is going to start. You can see now Void Rays and Immortals are going to start getting spawned here. This is what I mean by Void Rifts growing and getting higher in tech. And it does make the mission very difficult if you are not if you do not have adequate static defenses, or if you let these Void Rifts just grow. You can see there are a lot of Siege Tanks on this side now. Siege Tanks should be more or less okay. But any spare minerals for drones? Nova is actually she needs these gases because she is going for She is going for an air build, which is a very difficult build to kind of pull off for Nova, but unfortunately Swann does not have the resources, because Swann is one basing over here, which does increase the level of complexity that that Swann has to deal with. You can see lots of these spider mines here. They just completely nasty set. One sabotage drone basically cleans up this entire side now, and now the drill is also getting focus fire down there, and she's cleaned out. Notice what Nova has done over there. Nova has sniped the widow mines so she can get her air army to just go and clean up the spider mines on the ground, which is again a little bit higher thinking level over here. And now there's an attack wave on this side. Unfortunately, there are no siege tanks here. These two siege tanks are not even on siege on this side, and the concentrator beam comes down, has to go down here to end up defending and preventing Swann from losing a lot of the army over here. And now we can see the fire suppression system upgrade has been researched, making these things much more tanky. The regeneration rate of these structures from the fire suppression is, I think, 1 HP per second, or it's something like that. It is an insane amount of regeneration that you can get for the upgrade. I'm gonna try and see if I can show it to you. It's a really fast upgrade that it regenerates your stuff so quickly. And now we can see there are some siege tanks on the high ground here. I think for the most part Swann has stabilized. Nova is on this side now and is going to start pushing towards the next set of void shards. She has already cleared out this first void shard over here, has to sneak in from the back line to make sure that she doesn't get aggroed by some of the other units over here. It's a High Templar that decides to give Nova some attitude, but Nova is having none of that and ends up deleting that High Templar, and now there is just a void shard on this side. And yeah, for the most part, Swann's drill is now fully upgraded, and these units stand pretty much no chance in taking out any of the static defenses here. You can see now how quickly Swann has just completely stabilized here. So there's a Banshee that decided to try to pick on this SCV, but again, re-aggroes, tries to attack this missile turret instead, and the missile turret ends up clearing out the Mutalisk up there. Now there is an attack wave that is being coming up, and now you guys will probably see what is happening is the players have no interest in actually dealing with the Void Rift. They're just gonna let the Void Rifts grow. So if anyone is curious to know what kinds of unit spawns, this is the replay to watch, because this one will show you what kind of units will be spawning out the Void Rifts and how ugly the mission can get as the time progresses if you don't end up clearing out the Void Rifts. And now there is one last over here, but Nova has to be really careful. She does not want these Widow Mines just nuking her entire army, because her army is very fragile and not very replaceable. And now the attack wave is coming up over here, but there is a pulse scan that comes up and instantly one-shots this attack wave. Now this attack wave is done. Now this random trickle spawn, nothing is going to be happening to that. And now I think she has this area here. There is another airstrike that comes down. Just wants to take up these mines. She does not want to risk losing out her army to these bunch of Widow Mines over here. So far, Nova has lost 2 Liberators, which is very acceptable considering the losses over here. The Liberators do draw a higher aggro than the rest of the units in her army. I think for the most part, she's okay. And now we can see there's another bunch of trickle spawns over here, and there's another Void Rift on this side. I don't know if Nova wants to take this out or just leave it. Nope, she's just going to leave it, not interested in dealing with it. And yeah, this is basically the build that Caligon has come up with on this mutation. There is unfortunately a minefield over here, so Nova has to deal with this Void Rift. Otherwise, bad stuff can happen to her, and ends up sniping at that Widow Mine as well in the process. Swann's defenses here are pretty much all okay. I think he has pretty much all the upgrades. He has a Maelstrom Rounds upgrade, Fire Suppression System, EMC Auto Loaders, and the High-Sec Auto Tracking upgrade. So I think those are all the turret upgrades that Swann can get. The only thing now that he can do to get his army even stronger, which he's already started doing, is getting the Terran, the attack upgrades for his army. So he's going to start doing that as well. But again, Swann is getting the range upgrade first, which is again very useful, especially when you have the siege tanks shooting from the high ground. Having the high ground vision means that you have the extended range, and having these you can tuck the siege tanks in at the back there, and they'll still be able to defend against the sun. You can see the siege tanks shelling from here, which is a really good range. And that is without the range upgrade, and now they have the extra advanced optics upgrade as well. And now Nova has taken out that one void shard, and she has to be really careful with how she chooses to engage the side, because again, if there are any kinds of mines, they will end up dealing a lot of damage to Nova's army, which is something very bad. And Swann already has a concentrated beam ready, so he will be able to deal with this attack wave without too many problems. And so I think he'll be okay. And in that time, I think Nova will be able to clear out the rest of the side. So again, siege up on the Banshee, siege up on the Liberators. Banshee is defending anything on the low ground. and that is very, very important. Nova has to be really careful to slowly sneak past his army and slowly just push over there. Are you okay over there? I think Swann doesn't care right now. He is more than okay. He's completely stabilized on this mission. Look at just the amount of static defenses that are there. And now there's a Raven as well, who decided to look in and just completely regrets his decision. Just look at this ground army to just completely shred. There's a combat drop that ends up just stunning the whole ground force over here. And now whatever is left here is just going to get completely cleared out by the siege tanks. Lots of Colossi. These Colossi are not going to stand a chance against the army that Swann has over here. You can see the okay. This I think it's about 4 HP per second. Actually, that's a lot more than that. But there was an SCV repair as well onto that on missile turret to keep it alive. So yeah, for the most part, I think all is okay. Nova has already built up her army. She has now a total of 6 Liberators and 8 Banshees. More than enough now to deal with this. Nova has lost only 2 Liberators in the course of this mission. Void Shards decide to try and stun the air army, but that does not work against against air forces. And also an airstrike over there to just soften up the rest of these enemy defenses. Nova's flowing a lot of resources right now, and she can use that to actually spam the rest of her airstrikes, which she has been doing, I think, for the course of this mission, just to weaken up these enemy forces here. Again, defensive drone comes down. Nova has the minerals to afford all of that. You see just lots of Void Rifts over here, and just see the Void Rays, Ravens, and all sorts of other random nasty things coming up. Another Raven trying to get a Seeker Missile on one of these siege tanks, but does not end up surviving because of the strong amount of anti-air presence over here. And just take a look at the mineral usage there for Swann. Swann is blowing at 200 minerals. He is not backing up on the static defenses. He is going full eye-def on this map, and nothing is going to be able to break through this Fort Knox of defenses that is here. And there is the last, that is the second to last Void Shard done. One last Void Shard remaining. We'll have to be a little bit careful. There are a bunch of Widow Mines on this side, but again, she has not pushed too quickly. I think she's well aware of what is there. And now there's a pulse scan that comes up. Another airstrike into clearing out the rest of these Widow Mines over here. And yeah, Nova has basically died just once. 2 Liberators lost, and now this Void Shard is completely vulnerable and ends up getting completely cleaned out by Nova's army over here. And this is full eye def on Swann, and Swann is just completely laughing. GG, easy indeed. This is the easy mutation. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Nothing too difficult. Just go full eye def and all is good. That is GG.